Okay, so when I see the word chemistry, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's, complicated labs, maybe a high school class you'd rather forget. But what if I told you that chemistry isn't just for scientists in white coats? What if it's actually one of the most practical tools you can have for navigating the world today? Kind of like a secret weapon against all the misinformation out there. And that really gets to the heart of the problem, doesn't it? We are just flooded with information, all day, every day. This quote from Professor Dave Explains just hits the nail on the head. If you don't get the basics of how stuff is put together, you're pretty much stuck just parroting what you hear with no real way to know if it's true. So yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? How do you actually sort the facts from all the fiction? Well, that is exactly what we're going to tackle. We're going to build you a toolkit so you can start thinking for yourself.
First things first, let's just set the stage a little. We are living in a world that is completely soaked in claims. Claims that are all fighting for our attention, our trust, and, let's be honest, our money. I mean, just think about it for a second. Scroll through your social media feed, walk down a grocery store aisle. You see it everywhere. All natural, chemical-free, this one secret trick will detox your whole body. It's a lot. And look, the goal here isn't to turn you into a PhD chemist. It's to give you a simple, powerful way to see right through the noise. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do something really simple. We're going to totally reframe how we think about chemistry with an analogy that's, frankly, brilliant. We're going to imagine the entire universe is just built out of Legos. Yep, that's right, the same little plastic bricks you played with as a kid. This idea, which is championed by educator Phil McCordick, is amazing because it cuts through all the scary, complicated jargon. When you get right down to it, chemistry is really just about understanding the different types of blocks and learning the rules for how they stick together. Think of it this way. With Lego, you've got all kinds of different pieces, right? You've got the little 2x1 bricks, the big flat 4x4 plates, all those little curvy bits. Well, it's the same deal with chemistry. Its basic building blocks are called elements. And just like most of the Lego castles you build use a lot of the same few pieces, most of the world around us is built from just a handful of common elements, like carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. So, what's an atom in this analogy? Easy. It's just one single Lego brick. It's the absolute smallest piece you can work with. One little unit of carbon is a carbon atom. It's really that simple. And it just builds from there. When you start snapping those individual atom bricks together, you build something bigger, a molecule. For example, if you take two of those little hydrogen atoms and click them onto one oxygen atom, boom, you've just built H2O, a water molecule. See? You're not memorizing some weird formula, you're just building a tiny structure. Okay, so we've got our Lego bricks, our atoms. But here's the thing, this isn't a free-for-all. Our universe comes with a very, very strict instruction manual. There are rules, and these rules are completely unbreakable. And rule number one, the big one, is this: the law of conservation of mass. Now that sounds fancy, but all it really means is that you can't just make stuff appear out of nowhere or make it vanish into thin air. In our Lego world, it means you can never ever end a build with more bricks or fewer bricks than you started with. You can take them apart and rearrange them, but you can't just lose them. And here's what that rule looks like when chemists write it down. It is so important. When they write out a reaction, it has to balance. If you look at the wrong side, one of our oxygen atoms just disappears. It's gone. That's like a Lego brick just vanishing while you're building. That's impossible, right? The right side, though, is balanced. Every single atom you started with is accounted for at the end. Nothing is lost. And I really want to drive this home. This is not a guideline. It's not a suggestion. It's a fundamental law of how our universe operates. This one simple, non-negotiable rule that stuff can't just appear or disappear is the absolute foundation of your new BS detector. All right, we have our Lego bricks, we have our most important rule, so now let's have some fun. Let's actually apply this stuff to the real world and start testing some of the crazy claims we hear all the time. So check this out. This quote from Wacky Science introduces another totally crucial idea for spotting bad information. What do you think happens when you mix two really, really dangerous things together? Let's break this down because it's wild. You take sodium. This is a metal that's so unstable it literally explodes if it touches water. Then you take chlorine, which is a straight-up poisonous gas. You combine them, and what do you get? You get sodium chloride, harmless, everyday table salt that you sprinkle on your fries. The final product has completely different properties than the pieces it's built from.
And that right there is the key insight. The properties of a substance, whether it's helpful or harmful, tasty or toxic, come from the final finished molecule. They don't come from the individual atoms it's made of. So next time you hear someone say, oh no, this product has chemical X, and chemical X is also used in antifreeze, you can see the logical flaw. What matters is the final structure, the final molecule. Everything else is just fear-mongering. Okay, let's bring it all home. We've just used a really simple analogy, Lego, to understand one of the deepest, most fundamental rules of the universe. And having that knowledge is what gives you the power to actually think clearly for yourself. And we're going to circle right back to where we started, with Professor Dave, because this is the payoff. Once you know the basic rules of the game, you can instantly spot when someone's trying to cheat. If a product claim seems to violate these fundamental principles, you can just dismiss it. You don't have to wonder anymore. And that, at the end of the day, is the big takeaway here. You don't need to be a scientist. You just need to hold on to this one core idea. The world is made of simple building blocks that have to follow strict, unbreakable rules. And that simple, foundational knowledge gives you the power to question, to analyze, and to finally stop just repeating things you've heard. So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Now that you have this new way of looking at the world, this new lens, what other claims are you going to start seeing? What miracle cures or toxic ingredients are you going to notice? Because once you know the rules of the Lego set, it is absolutely amazing how many impossible structures you'll suddenly start seeing everywhere.